3. Final part. The apartment went quiet after Nathan left. Not peaceful, not relieved, just quiet. Sophie stood frozen in the middle of the living room. The torn pieces of the contract lay scattered across the floor. The brass floor lamp in the corner still cast its warm glow across the room we'd spent hours building together. I bent down to help clean up. Don't. Her voice wasn't angry, just tired. I stopped immediately. She slowly gathered every piece of paper herself and threw them into the trash. Then she leaned both hands against the dining table and closed her eyes. I almost gave him money. But you didn't. I almost did, Caleb. She laughed bitterly. Because he kept telling me I deserved something better. I looked around the apartment. The bookshelf, the lamp, the coffee table, the chairs. Every piece carried a memory. Nothing here felt cheap. Nothing here felt temporary. He wasn't selling you a house, I said quietly. He was selling you the idea that your life wasn't enough. Her eyes filled with tears, and I believed him. No, I shook my head. He found the exact place where you were hurting. She looked up. Do you know where I was hurting? I stayed silent because I was afraid I already knew. She took a deep breath. At the furniture store, my heart skipped. When you called me your wife, a tear slipped down her cheek. I was happy. I froze. Stupidly happy. She laughed through tears. And then you laughed. You turned it into a joke. And I felt ridiculous for thinking it meant anything. My chest tightened. So when Nathan came along, he made me feel chosen. He didn't laugh. And I convinced myself I should settle for someone who wanted me clearly instead of someone who kept pretending not to. Silence. 7 years of silence. 7 years of fear. 7 years of excuses. And suddenly, I was tired. Tired of pretending. Tired of being afraid, tired of standing outside the door. Sophie, she wiped her eyes. No, let me finish. No, I stepped closer. My turn. She looked up, and for the first time in years, I stopped hiding. I didn't say my wife because it was funny. Her breathing stopped. I said it because it felt natural. Too natural. And that scared me. I laughed softly. So I did what I always do. I made a joke, because jokes are safer. Friendship is safer, but I'm tired of safe. Her eyes widened. I don't want to be the guy you call when something breaks. I don't want to be the spare key. I don't want to spend the next 20 years pretending I'm happy being just your friend. My voice shook. I want all of it. The boring days, the stupid arguments, the grocery shopping, the late night pasta, the crooked bookshelves, the blanket lectures. I want everything. And someday, I smiled. I want to call you my wife and not have to pretend it was a joke. For a second, neither of us moved. Then Sophie laughed, a watery, beautiful laugh. You're unbelievably slow, Caleb. I smiled. I know. 7 years. I know. She shook her head. I almost bought a fake house because you needed 7 years. That sounds embarrassing when you say it out loud. She smiled. Good. Then she stepped forward, rested her forehead against my chest, and whispered, You idiot. I wrapped my arms around her, not tightly, just enough. And after 7 years, it felt like coming home. 10 days later, Sophie was laughing again. The real laugh. The one I missed. She changed my contact name in her phone from Caleb Fix Stuff to Caleb Don't Hang Curtains Alone, I protested. That's too long. It's legally binding, she declared, and threw a pillow at me. A month later, we returned to the same vintage furniture store. The same owner smiled immediately. The lamp couple, Sophie blushed. The woman looked at me. And how's your wife? Sophie raised one eyebrow, waiting. Last time, I had hidden behind a back at the apartment. I repaired one of the dining chairs. Sophie sat on the floor eating cookies and supervising like a tiny dictator. You think everything broken can be fixed? She said softly. I smiled. Not everything. But the things worth keeping? I tightened the final screw. Those are worth fighting for. She stood, walked over, and kissed me, softly, sweetly, like she'd been waiting 7 years. When she pulled away, her forehead rested against mine, and she whispered, "Until you get a ring." I grinned. Technical specifications received. She burst out laughing. The evening sunlight poured through the windows. The bookshelf was still slightly crooked, the lamp still glowed warm, the chairs still didn't match, and honestly, neither did we, but somehow, everything fit. Some love stories begin with perfect timing. Ours began with a joke, a blush, a scam artist, and two idiots who needed 7 years to admit what their hearts already knew. But we got there, and in the end, that was more than enough. The end.